Hello everybody, hello and welcome to This Month in Pseudoscience. We're picking this back up again, oh yeah, and starting right away at the beginning of the year in January 2022. So, let's see what happened last month in pseudoscience. Now, our first story this month concerns 5G, and as the new standard in wireless internet and communications comes out, so too does the panic. Do you guys remember when they started cutting down the towers?
Canadians are turning their feelings of anger and confusion about COVID-19 towards cell phone towers. Police in Quebec are investigating a series of arsons targeting 4 towers in that province.
Obviously, just some concerned citizens. Now keep in mind, anytime something like this happens, there's always an industry that springs up around it, and this is largely to try and find a way to profit off of people's fear. For example, when I infiltrated CalJam, the chiropractor convention, I had this lovely conversation with a woman trying to sell me a product.
Yeah, well, but do you know it's the equivalent of having 1,600 x-rays, 24 hours, according to a huge body of study, huge body of study.
Yeah.
All you do, my darling, is just put this in the back of the phone, and you won't experience.
Right on.
I mean, it's like...
What's it made out of?
Natural materials from the earth that have been mined, and
Sure.
It's just the right amount and the right...
Right.
But last month, several different countries and several different agencies in those countries had to put out consumer alerts that there were products that were designed initially to protect you against 5G, that those products themselves were radioactive, including this child's bracelet. The problem is that 5G is a non-ionizing radiation, which means that it's safe, whereas these products were emitting ionizing radiation, which can destroy human tissue, leading to drastic and severe long-term health effects. And thus the perpetual cycle of people desperately trying to protect themselves against an imagined threat and accidentally killing themselves continues. And now, QUACKWATCH.
The New World Order.
Freedom, baby. Freedom.
I came here because I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
QUACKWATCH.
2 years ago, I published a 2-part video series on Amanda Mary Jewell, a dangerous quack, and I titled it The Quack with a Body Count. And the reason I did that, just to jog your memories, is because she, killed people, albeit indirectly. Now, she also made quite a lot of money helping her victims, before they died, fundraise tens of thousands of dollars so that then they could pay her for miracle treatments that don't work. And she was also a bishop in the MMS Genesis 2 bleach cult, but she managed to get out pretty quickly before their main leadership ended up in prison for a long time.
COVID quackery crackdown. The feds move in to shut down a so-called church that claims it has a cure using bleach for COVID-19 and wanted President Trump's blessing.
Mr. President, please, we just want the right to choose.
But when we last left Mary, she was living with Martin Buckwell and his daughter in Belize. Martin is the widower of the late Aliki, a very ill young woman who died of a brain tumor after Mary had all of her fillings pulled out of her skull and gave her anything but appropriate medical care for her affliction. Also, Mary has, or maybe had, taken on a motherly role to the daughter that was left behind after Aliki passed. Charming. Since then, Mary and Martin had had a life of adventure. It's not really clear if they're still together, but up until last year, they were in Bulgaria. That means that yes, she did leave the dodgy clinic she was working in Belize and moved back to the country where she once had a dodgy clinic/hospice called the Pearl Lodge. But since then, she's become a bit of a world traveler.
During the 2021 pandemic, I travelled on vacation to the following countries: Holland, Bulgaria 3 times, Ecuador, Belize, Mexico, Qatar, Brazil and Turkey 3 times. I am not vaccinated and have not had issues with travel. Don't let the scandemic take your sunshine, rainbow and sparkles.
But is she still engaging in dangerous practices? Well, yes, absolutely. She still runs the Healing Oracle website, which vomits a bunch of bullshit and now COVID conspiracies. I'm sure nobody saw that coming. In fact, they recently claimed that there was new evidence that GC-MAF, a strange quackery treatment that's derived from human blood or cow blood, absolutely works. And this new evidence, this hard-hitting paper, came out in 2013. But is she in a clinic? Is she seeing patients? I honestly don't know. Actually, I do. Hi, everybody. Editor Jeff here. And while I was putting this together, I unfortunately came across something very troubling. Through a bunch of digging, I came across a woman by the name of Brooke Shepard. And Brooke Shepard has a website where she claims to be a personal autism consultant. About me, I am an autism mom who's been working to help others who struggle with the effects of autism on their family. We had our youngest child go from nonverbal to verbal in a few short weeks following a very specific protocol. This fueled me to want to help others in the same situation. I am not a doctor, just a mom who's done research and looked into many treatments from conventional to biomedical. And of course, she also sells consultations and custom worksheets on her website. Now, why is this person important and how do they have anything to do with Amanda Mary? Well, by digging through the web archives of Amanda Mary's website, Healing Oracle, I found that she had scrubbed an article, which was this one, Protected, Autism Recovery Update. This content is password protected. To view it, enter your password below. And so I thought that would be where it stopped. But I actually did find a copy of the original article. And that's not what's the most important. What's the most important is actually a PDF that Brooke Shepard put out about what she did to help heal her son. Now, in this PDF, it details out a regimen of different diet and different types of medicines, and it references over and over a woman named Mary. And then near the bottom, it references Mary at Healing Oracle. And later on in the PDF, it mentions that they are in fact using GC-MAF and something called M oil in a protocol, and that's how she believes that her son regained his ability to speak. And so yes, Amanda Mary is in fact seeing patients, just not dying cancer patients apparently, autistic children. Also, there's this video that she put on her YouTube channel not that long ago, featuring the daughter of Martin and Aliki.
Hi, my name's Amanda Mary and I'm from the Healing Oracle team. Today we're going to be talking about non-verbal children, and today we've got is fully verbal, but for the purposes of this video she's been kind enough to help us out.
I do know that she routinely travels between Bulgaria, Ecuador, Mexico, and Belize, among other countries. But what's really dodgy is this little snippet I found in one of her TikTok videos. Now, who is Mary Jane Aria? Seeing as how Mary has had many different names over the past few years, including Amanda Mary Jewel, Amanda Heath, Amanda Herzog, and Rosemary, I'm not really surprised that she would take on a new name. A new persona, if you will, to try and dodge some controversy. But what's really interesting is that if that's on her plane ticket, did she change her name legally, or did she just accidentally do a whoopsie-doopsie and show something on TikTok she probably shouldn't have? I'm pretty sure that's like international crime. Who knows? So as far as I can see, she's cut all ties with Flor de la Salud clinic in Mexico, as well as the clinic she was doing in Belize. Now, whether or not she still has connections with some of the people she had before, it's hard to say. I do believe that she is still connected to a Dr. Furman Selma, who also left the Mexican clinic. But here's a fun video, just randomly, of him injecting ozone into somebody's spine. Gross. So why cover Mary again? Well, that's because there's one last piece of the puzzle I need to show you, and it starts with this comment on her Instagram. Do you still work with cancer patients?
I remain part of a large network of practitioners working together for a better future with those going through cancer.
A large network? Well, what does that mean? Well, I think I know. I think I know exactly what Mary has been up to. I think I know exactly what she's been doing since she is no longer working in a clinic, and how she can afford to be a world traveler. I'd like to introduce you to Vigor Life. Vigor Life is Mary's new enterprise. She's rebranding GC Math as VDTP and creating a network across the globe of practitioners who can buy her blood products internationally. She's also selling something called M oil, and 120 milliliters is 1,680 pounds. What's M oil? Well, it doesn't actually list any ingredients, so I have no idea. Yeah, me again. Also, just referenced in that PDF that I was mentioning before when I had to interrupt, there is directly links to Vigor Life and to order M oil and GC Math / VDTP. So, yeah, this is a whole thing. And when this woman was involved in Healing Oracle was as recent as last April. Oh boy. But how do I know that Mary owns this website? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Before she scrubbed it, on this website, on the order form for this website, which ships GC Math blood products internationally, even to countries where that's illegal, she had her own personal Healing Oracle email. Whoops! And this is why we're touching on her again. Mary is now too high profile to be the guru mystical healer. She can't be the one in the spotlight trying to push these products to other people. So instead, she's covering her tracks and she's selling to other quacks. And while most of you have probably never heard of GC Math unless you saw my Mary video, this is a growing problem. These products and the people that are peddling them, it is a rising quackery and a trend in the alternative health community. In fact, there are people that have been getting in trouble in several countries for smuggling this in to their country in suitcases. This is a blood product. You're supposed to keep it refrigerated. I mean, everything about this is so cartoonishly dodgy, and it's really becoming a problem. So that's where we are. I hit a bit of a wall in my investigation, and so I'm passing it off to you, the public. Have you heard of GC Math? Do you know of any quacks that are trying to push this? What about Facebook groups where they're touting this all over the place as a new alternative cure? Please, any and all tips, send them my way. Jeff@jeffholiday.com. I would greatly appreciate it. Maybe together we can have an effect against this. And now, it's the COVID catch-up.
There is no evidence that I can see that a pandemic exists.
Hey, you gotta vaccinate in the lotions, eh? Vaccination is so great. Vaccinate.
I only asked, how many vaccines have you had? Have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci!
First up, a cautionary tale from Edmonds, Washington.
Was at this site right here outside the Edmonds Starbucks, where police say a man stood here for hours offering COVID tests. Authorities say it was all a ploy to get people's private information.
I thought, I wonder if he's going to pull a needle out.
For hours this week, Carla Gabbett was treated to a scrubbed-up spectacle across the street from her shop.
I just stood at the window and watched for a little bit because I, like, dude, what are you doing?
And hey, this isn't the only one. Bogus testing sites are popping up all over the place. Scammers are taking advantage of desperate people. All because America is doing a piss-poor job at making sure that we have safe, easy, affordable access to tests so we can figure out whether or not we should be around other people. But, you know, we just ended a forever war, and using all that extra money we have now to try and stem a pandemic would just make too much sense, you know? Come on. Next up is in the world of the Goof Troop, which is the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance, or the FLCCC, run by Pierre Corey. Yes, the same Pierre Corey that was hoisted up by intellectual dork web member Brett Weinstein. There he is. So it turns out that on their website, they have a list of alternative treatments you can try when ivermectin, horse paste, the horse dewormer, yes, human dewormer too, horse paste, when horse paste, which doesn't help you with COVID, doesn't end up helping you with COVID, well, you can try some of these other medications, and there are two in specific that we really need to pay attention to. Enhance! Spironolactone and dutasteride. I really butchered those two. For some in my audience, those two might seem familiar, and in fact, those dosages might seem pretty high. Well, that's interesting. What could these medications be for? These are commonly prescribed hormone medications when somebody is going to transition from a man to a woman. Seriously. So yeah, anti-vaxxers are literally blocking their own testosterone in order to try and treat themselves as something that they could just go get a safe and effective vaccine for. You can't write comedy smarter than this. Like, it's just so amazing. But the real cherry on the top is, here's a clip of Pierre Corey telling millions of Fox News viewers to go and check out his website.
Give us your sense of what we should be doing to protect ourselves.
Well, that's what my organization has done. From the beginning, we've put together protocols for the hospital, long haul, and early treatment. Early treatment is the key. It avoids all of the need for the other protocols. If you go to our website, which is FLCCC.net, we're a nonprofit organization. We have first-line, second-line medications.
As well, this month, we had Joe Rogan making the dire mistake of having someone actually intelligent on to discuss COVID.
For young boys in particular, there's an adverse risk associated with the vaccine. It's like a 2 to 4-fold increase in the instances of myocarditis.
Yes, but you know what?
Hospitalization.
You know that there's an increased risk of myocarditis among that age cohort from getting COVID as well, which exceeds the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. No. I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is.
And he's right. The risk of myocarditis from COVID is vastly higher than the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine. There's just no question. But watch Joe Rogan scramble to deny reality as he's literally staring at it.
Myocarditis more common after COVID-19 infection than vaccination. But is this with children? Yeah, we're talking about young people.
Men and boys aged under 30 after this is what it says here.
With children is the issue.
Well, no, we were talking about 15-year-olds.
Well, we're talking about young children.
Male child. 12 to 17.
12 to 17, more likely to develop myocarditis within 3 months of catching COVID at a rate of 450 cases per million infection. This compares to 67 cases of myocarditis per million at the same time following their second dose of Pfizer.
Yeah, so you're about 8 times likelier to get myocarditis from getting COVID than from getting the vaccine.
That's interesting.
Now,
that is not what I've read before, but also it's like, even when we're reading these things, it's like, what are we getting this from?
It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would really, really like to see him have more guests like that on, but apparently the next 3 guests are all anti-vaxxers, so I'm not going to hold my breath. Anyway, here's a guy who thinks you can cure COVID with pee.
That's too much of what you're saying.
No, that's good.
Is it cool if I'm that big of a puss where I want to see you drink yours first?
Oh, actually, that's Joe again. Here's the other dude.
That it's very possible and probable we have the antidote, okay? And the antidote is even for those that have been vaccinated. And I've been practicing this for 20 years, and everybody's always said I'm cray-cray, and I am, but I'm crazy like a fox. The antidote that we've seen now, and we have tons and tons of research, is urine therapy.
And to be honest with you, I don't think we really need to use science to try and debunk this. We can just use basic logic. For instance, cruise ships are perpetually soaked in urine, yet somehow we see outbreaks all the time on them. Unless, of course, the mandatory cruise ship diarrhea somehow nullifies the magical P-effects. Anyway, that's going to be it for this month in pseudoscience. If you have any tips for me, you can always email me, jeff@jeffholiday.com. You can join my Discord and drop some links and suggestions for Jeff. As well, if you'd like to support this channel, I do have Patreon, link in the description down below. And you can always find me, or rather frequently find me, on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealJeffHoliday. But I hope you are well. I hope your family is well. From mine to yours, take care. And we'll do this again in a month. Bye.